What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved in, go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 0.37%. Nothing crazy today. 2102 the low, 2156 the high, and very low volume. So this has been something that's been happening not just with SoFi, but the broader market for the last 3 or 4 trading days. So you've seen very low volume. So today, 36.4 million shares being traded, 80.1 is the average. Although of that 36 million, most of it was actual institutions trading it rather than algorithmic trading. So I much prefer institutions actually trading it, which is always a good thing. And these are all the transactions that did occur today on the secondary market. So you saw a lot of big ones near the close of the business day. So 1.4, 16.4, 9.1, 1.2, 2.6. So a lot of big institutions were buying both on the secondary market and the dark pool. And then speaking of institutions buying, there was a 13G form that was submitted after hours today, which did show Jane Street is the new recipient of 65 million shares. And so based on when this was submitted, it goes to show that they took advantage of the recent issuance. So again, that's a good thing that institutions are buying SoFi. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But you did have one institution that led the charge on what caused it to go down. No different than yesterday. For whatever reason, you just had a crazy sell-off, or sorry, not yesterday, the day prior. You just had one institution leading the charge. So when it was this day, it was roughly, I think, 10.3 or $10.6 million transaction that kind of started this sell-off. For today, though, you did have this right here. So there was a $6.93 million transaction that led to the charge. So some institutions sold for whatever reason. I'm not really sure exactly why, but it looks like SoFi is actually moving higher after hours. So that's always a good thing. Most likely, a lot of companies unveiling the earnings, kind of piggybacking off of one another. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So 2.2 million, 8.5, 10.4, 13.2, 6.4, and then 2.5 million. So a lot of transactions that have been occurring. And actually I'll hit refresh just to see if any recent transactions. So it looks like there was just another one right here, 178,000. So some institution was a part of this recently. So definitely good to see nonetheless, but ultimately no news from SoFi today. On a macro standpoint, there wasn't really all that much in data. Trump was relatively quiet today, so it was kind of a timid day, which I think is kind of good to have a little bit of a breather. No talk on tariffs, no fears. It was just a normal day, and I honestly can't even remember the last time we've had a normal day. But still, some institution tried to cause a little bit of crap first thing. But nonetheless, when it comes to shorts, I'll give you a quick overview of what they did. So shorts did return 160,000 shares. So as I've shared with you, I do anticipate them to continue to do that, most likely for the foreseeable future. 10.22% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 119.1 million shares overall are being shorted. Moving over to this though, I wanted to share this. This potentially might be a good catalyst come Friday, and that is this. So joining the S&P 500. So I know a lot of people have been really wanting SoFi to join it. It's just not really been there, unfortunately. But yeah, this might be a good opportunity to potentially hit this. And I've seen a lot of other accounts as well kind of mentioning SoFi. This is like the one opportunity that can actually move higher. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. If they don't get added here, I do believe it'll be kind of end of September, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that would be huge for SoFi, a very good catalyst. So that does mean that you'd have a whole new rush of institutions buying SoFi. So add a whole new level of liquidity, which maybe actually, if you kind of think about it, might be one reason why shorts have been kind of just naturally returning, is that they foresee that coming potentially. Let me know your thoughts on that. But nonetheless though, looking at the options, so you had 15 million in calls, 6.7 million in puts, so kind of low in comparison to what it normally has been, but as what I mentioned in the beginning, so the common stock as well is a little bit low. 36% of all the options being done today though. were bearish in nature. So this one does stand out. So between 11.05 and 11.10, there was 3.1 million in premiums. And if we kind of look at this, most of it was neutral in nature. And what that means is it wasn't oriented towards the bid or the ask. So of course, nobody really knows whether it was a buy or a sell, but one was a 15 put that does expire January 15th, 2027. And there was a $2.12 million premium that was for that. Then also a $10 put, and that is for the same expiry date, so January 15th, 2027, and that one was for a $750,000 premium. So good to see. Most likely, in my opinion, these are both sells. So that does mean that if, let's say, SoFi does dip below the 15 or the 10, potentially this institution will buy. So most likely their plan is just to kind of keep the premiums or potentially sell. But like I said, they are considered neutral, so it's really hard to tell, and that's just me estimating. But aside from that, looking at the bull standpoint, there's a good consensus for it to be roughly around that 22 to roughly 22.50 by the end of Friday. So still a little bit more upside is anticipated. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 21. So with us now at 21.50-ish, it's kind of level ground. So we'll just have to wait and see how tomorrow does and the next couple trading days do play out. But with it closing at 21.46, it is trading between these 2 points, so this pivot and this S1. I'm looking at the one-day chart on a side note. I've had some questions on why does this change. It's all dependent on if I'm doing a pre-market video or after hours, because I do kind of change the orientation, because you can kind of look at the 4 hour, 1 day. 1 day is a very strong support and resistance points. So just keep that in mind. And if you're doing your own due diligence, that's what that kind of means. But 21.68 is going to be that next strong target. So potentially tomorrow with some good momentum, that'll be the target, and to hopefully set the trajectory for it to hit to that $24 range. There was no new analyst ratings today, just a lot of the negative ones over the last couple of trading days. So you had the $14 sell yesterday, $23 price or hold by Truist, analyst who has a 43% success rating, Matthew, but no new articles really coming out. And then when it comes down to this on the actual chart, still below the ALMA, so it does kind of show that it wants to consolidate still, but nonetheless, it's still above all the key pivotal moving averages that I generally like to look at. Stochastic RSI, very oversold, so a good piece of news. You'll see a nice push higher, but coming from a macro standpoint, there's not really much coming out this week. I think all the big companies that would have influenced the market have already unveiled their earnings already. So I think in reality, tomorrow might be a little bit more of a similar normal day for the market. But nonetheless, just take note of some of those kind of key support and resistance points that I did mention. And then 21.67, that is that ALMA. So if it is able to get above that, we'll show more of a kind of an expansion. So right now it is below that, showing more of a contraction. So something to keep in mind, but I think overall SoFi is doing good, and the fact that it's actually holding these gains is also deserving of a round of applause. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Did you buy today? Did you sell? Have you been starting to do some options, either selling puts, buying puts, selling calls? Like, have you been doing any of that? And if you haven't, why? Have you started to do a little bit of research? Are you scared of doing options? If so, let me know your thoughts. I can kind of help you if you have any questions or whatever else. And pop over to my Discord, completely free. So yeah, if you ever have questions, there's a lot of good individuals there that love options and would be more than willing to kind of help and whatever else. So definitely pop over to the Discord. Like I said, it's completely free. Link to that is in the description below and also the comments. With all that, you have a good rest of the day, and appreciate all of you watching.